In the headlines, court orders Association of Resident Doctors to suspend industrial action. Governor Sanwo-Olu says 135 died of COVID-19 in Lagos, not 500. Flood kills 3, destroys over 2,000 houses in Bauchi. And on the foreign scene, Egypt flies over 40 of its nationals out of Afghanistan. Hello and welcome to Trust TV News Update. I'm Zainab Bella. For more news, follow us across all our social media platforms. The National Industrial Court, Abuja Division, has ordered the Nigerian Association of Resident Doctors to suspend the ongoing nationwide strike. National Industrial Court Judge John Tagema asked all parties in the suit to maintain status quo pending the hearing and determination of the motion on notice. The judge ordered that a hearing notice be issued and other processes served on the defendant, including the originating summons. Reacting to the court verdict, Labour and Employment Minister Chris Ngige described the National Industrial Court of Nigeria ruling as a welcome development. Tagema adjourned the matter to September 15th for hearing of the motion on notice and/or any other pending application on its merit. Now, disagreement between the federal government and the National Association of Resident Doctors continues to linger as neither party is ready to shift position even as the strike enters its 22nd day. After invoking the no work, no pay policy and taking doctors to court, federal government reportedly resolved to meet part of the agreement by pledging the sum of 4.8 billion naira, which NARD claim they have no idea about. First Vice President of Association, Dr. Christopher Aromi Adejo, speaks to Trust TV on the issue.
We cannot call off any strike when our people don't have the means to go to work. If we call off a strike now, and these people cannot have transport to go to work, and a patient comes and dies because a doctor didn't see, that patient can sue the doctor, and that doctor's license can be seized. You cannot penalize people who are legitimately fighting for their rights when you have not penalized those people that seized their salaries for 4 to 5 months. What is the penalty for work without pay? Someone work up to 5 months without pay, and because he went on strike to demand for his legitimate right, you are penalizing him. If we are demanding for new things, then you can penalize us. These are the things that we reached agreement with you months back, years back. 4.8 billion naira was not promised to us. 4.8 billion naira was promised to whoever will pay us our salary. My salary, you can't promise me my salary. It's my right. You don't promise me my right.
Crisis rocking the People's Democratic Party (PDP) has deepened further as Rivers State High Court on Monday granted an ex-party application ordering the national chairman, Uche Secondus, to stop parading himself as such or even member of the party. The embattled chairman responded that he would defend himself and that the party is bigger than any individual. Governors on the platform of the party had intervened when calls for his resignation before end of his tenure in December gathered momentum, agreeing on October for national convention of the party. Chairman of the PDP Board of Trustees, Valid Jibrin, had previously spoken to Trust TV on move to reconcile aggrieved parties. Lagos State Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu on Monday disclosed that 135 have died in Lagos from COVID-19 during the third wave and not 500 has been speculated. Sanwo-Olu, who provided COVID-19 updates, said about 1,000 passengers from the red zones with high Delta variant cases have absconded.
A total of about 299,992 doses of Moderna on the 18th of August. And they announced that they were going to give us 601,000, but they've not given us that 601,000 based on their own logistics. At the federal level, we received just a little over 300,000 right now. And I'm happy to announce that from Wednesday, the 25th, we'll commence the vaccination at over 150 centers across the states. We'll start the vaccination there. increase in the number of centers compared to the first round of vaccination is because we want to prevent gathering of a crowd in large number, and to ensure that even the vaccination program itself does not constitute a super spreader event. So we brought up more vaccination centers so that people can keep social distancing and they don't need to go there and get infected.
Nigeria on Monday recorded 565 new COVID-19 cases and 8 deaths, the Nigeria Center for Disease Control has said. The center said that this brings the total infections since the index case in 2020 to 187,588. The NCDC attributed the surge to the highly transmissible Delta variant and low vaccination rates across the country. The center also said that 8 COVID-19 related deaths were reported on Monday, bringing the total fatality figure to 2,276. The NCDC stated that the new cases are reported in 13 states and the FCT. According to the center, Monday's report includes a backlog of cases of 7 cases reported from Benue on August 17th, August 18th, and 4 on August 9th. The federal government says it will soon inaugurate a national environmental sanitation response intervention to cholera outbreak in Kubwa, Abuja, currently the epicenter in the FCT. Dr. Muhammad Abubakar, Minister of Environment, disclosed this on Monday while briefing journalists in Abuja.
It is with great sense of urgency and duty that I have called this press conference today to sensitize the media and the general public on the cholera outbreak in the country and the effort being made by the Federal Ministry of Environment to contain the scourge. As you are aware, Nigeria is currently experiencing cholera outbreak in several parts of the country with reported cases of fatalities. The ministry has requested the environmental health officers in the state and local governments across the country to intensify their effort in carrying out sanitary inspection of premises and abatement of nuisances that could result in diseases outbreaks such as cholera, Lassa fever, and the rest of them.
Elsewhere, Bauchi State Emergency Management Agency says flood has killed 3 people, destroyed over 2,000 houses and 6,000 farmlands in the state this year. Dr. Abubakar Gabari, the head of operations, BASEMA, told newsmen on Monday in Bauchi that the flood affected many communities in the state. BASEMA head of operations said the flood, which affected 17 local government areas, also destroyed property valued at 900 million. He said that between June and August every year, the state witnessed heavy downpours with windstorms and floods that caused serious damages. Gabarin said the agency would continue to sensitize the public on the dangers of flooding and added that it would also collaborate with partners on mitigating measures against flood. People's Republic of China has pledged to work with Nigeria to fight and win the war against modern-day slavery. Li Zunda, cultural counselor of the Chinese embassy in Nigeria, made the commitment on Monday in Abuja at the commemoration of the 2021 International Day for the Remembrance of Slave Trade and its Abolition. The theme for this year's commemoration is Modern-Day Slavery, a national question protecting the future generation.
Human society, as we are aware, in contemporary times, new forms of slavery have emerged, especially the modern days concealed and undefensed forms of slavery.
2014, I finished from Bauchi Polytechnic as a civil engineer. I looked for how to get washing machine to start laundering business for myself. So I started doing laundry business for myself. So there's this one good customer of mine who travels a lot. He goes to Dubai, he goes to Spain, he goes to Italy, to Reno. So when he comes back, he normally gives me his clothes to help him to dry clean. And he told me that he's willing to help me to travel abroad to get to that Europe and make plenty money.
But it is my sincere hope that the campaign against modern-day slavery does not end here today. I wish to task the media organizations to ensure the message is sustained on air and that it reaches the nooks and crannies of Nigeria. so as to create the needed national awareness on this menace.
Nigeria on Monday joined the rest of the world in commemorating the annual International Day for the Remembrance of Slavery and its Abolition. The theme of this year's celebration is Modern-Day Slavery, a national question protecting the future generation. Speakers at the event at the National Press Center Radio House in Abuja highlight human exploitation during slave trade days and the need to end modern-day replica of the past exploitation. Trust TV's Nafisa Abdullah reports.
The Atlantic slave trade, transatlantic slave trade, or Euro-American slave trade, which began in the 16th century, involved the transportation by slave traders of various enslaved African people, mainly to the Americas. Although slave trade became illegal and was abolished in the 19th century, it still has not stopped. In Nigeria today, modern slavery exists and manifests in forms of child labor, human trafficking, forced marriage, debt bondage, among many other forms. To commemorate the International Day for the Remembrance of Slave Trade and its Abolition, Permanent Secretary, Federal Ministry of Information and Culture, Dr. Ifeoma Anyanwụ-Taku, urged the audience to look out for signs of modern slavery in the society today, be cautious and aware.
It's against this backdrop that it is my sincere hope that the campaign against modern-day slavery does not end here today. I wish to task the media organizations to ensure the message is sustained on air and that it reaches the nooks and crannies of Nigeria so as to create the needed national awareness on this menace.
Secretary General NATCOM UNESCO, Mr. Olagunju, says slavery is not simply a matter of history, it's also manifested today in different forms. He calls for the protection of victims and survivors who have managed to escape the ordeal.
Slavery is not simply a matter of history. It also manifests itself today through descent-based servitude. While victims and survivors should also be empowered and protected.
Although majority of human trafficking or slave trade victims are lured or tricked into slavery, Christian, a survivor, says he voluntarily went down that route in search of greener pastures.
I actually made up my mind to travel to Libya when life was being more realistic to me and it was being difficult. So I just decided to say, okay, since this is another way forward, let me give it a try so that I can seek for greener pasture. And at the end of the day, I ended up being in prison for like 1 year plus, and it was tough.
The program had in attendance school children in a bid to sensitize them on modern slavery, its causes and effects.
I learned a lot of things by all the people, the testimonials that came to talk about themselves, and it was actually a lesson for everybody in the world. Like for example, in Nigeria especially, because we are actually people who are emotional, and people actually come from outside to come and take us and for granted and sort of things, and because we feel like okay, because there's something that's actually going on in Nigeria, that's maybe poverty. So because of this poverty, they're taking us, using us as laws to take us and take us to places that we don't know, but we think is the winning factor for our future.
Although modern slavery is still very much prevalent in Nigeria and the world at large, efforts to curb the issue in form of programs such as this aim to sensitize and create awareness for victims and people who knowingly and unknowingly commit the act. Nafisa Abdullah, Trust TV News, Abuja.
You're watching Trust TV News Update. Coming up after the break. Federal government begins enumeration of over 100,000 pupils in Yobe. This and more after the break. Stay with us.
My name is Samuel Dada. Yakubu Isa. Ana malakabi da jeje. Anyani Musa. A wannan harkar ce muke dan samun abinci. An muke taimaka mu wasu da yawa. Looking for private jobs. Sometimes you get employed and the process of payment, you undergo some kind of stress.
Hello and and welcome to Showcase. On Showcase, we are going to be diving into the lives of emerging entrepreneurs across the country.
My calligraphy is Arabic calligraphy. I had written the Quran, the complete Quran, before reaching the age of 12.
From professionals to artisans and even social media influencers, I am going to be taking you on a journey to show you the beautiful, the motivational and the resilient nature of Nigerian entrepreneurs who continue to thrive irrespective of the challenges they face in the country.
Showcase, coming soon on Trust TV.
Thank you so much for staying with us. You are still watching Trust TV News Update. Here are our top stories. The National Industrial Court, Abuja Division, has ordered the Nigeria Association of Resident Doctors to suspend the ongoing nationwide strike. Crisis rocking the People's Democratic Party has deepened further as the Rivers State High Court on Monday granted an ex-party application ordering the national chairman, Uche Secondus, to stop parading himself as member of the party. Still ahead, Nigeria's House of Representatives on Monday asked the Group Managing Director of the Nigeria National Petroleum Corporation, Mele Kyari, to appear before its Committee on Finance unfailingly by Wednesday. Lawmakers, during the meeting of the Committee on Finance considering the 2022-2024 medium-term expenditure framework and fiscal strategy paper, frowned at what they termed a continuous disregard for the Parliament.
In Nigeria or out of Nigeria?
He's in Nigeria, sir.
So if he's writing a letter to National Assembly, he cannot sign directly by himself, he has to ask somebody to sign for him. This letter is, your appearance will not be taken today. We have to, the GMD and MPC should appear before us on Wednesday, 11 a.m. Okay.
When the CG was complaining, I told him that I heard from the CPN governor saying that Naira will be devalued soon. And now it's even devalued. So you should look at the value of the Naira that is going down and give upward review. This is what I want to tell you. And I will tell you, they are going to meet up with it. So please, take note of the parameters. And secondly, the Finance Act has been passed. The carbonated drinks has been signed into law by the President. There are so many ways they will get revenue now. Better than last year. And now we are in the middle of the year. See what they have generated just because of the devaluation of this Naira.
And a Bauchi state-based civil society organization, Inspiring Generation and Humanity Support Foundation Africa, wants Governor David Umahi to give account of the sum of 4.5 billion Naira Community Development Fund and SME Fund. Executive Director, Igusuv Africa, Darlington Onwe, made the allegations on Monday during a press briefing in Abuja. Meanwhile, in a response from the media aide to the Bauchi State Governor Francis Nweze, he dismissed the allegations, saying that there is no fact basis to accuse his principal of wrongdoing.
About the sincerity of the state government in the disbursement of the 3 billion Naira NSAS Youth Fund, and also what had happened to the 1.5 billion Naira Ebonyi State Autonomous Community Development Fund of 2019. As a civil society organization that is committed to the promotion of accountable democratic governance, we have been asking, and yet we are still asking the state government to account for the fund totaling 4.5 billion. That is the 3 billion Youth SME Fund and 1.5 billion Naira Community Development Fund.
I must tell you that there is no fact in whatever they have alleged. Our autonomous community in the state. Now, this money were distributed. In fact, even His Excellency himself had earlier stated that the people that this money were being handed over, because it was handed over to the heads of communities. And this was displayed in the national dailies. It was there were pictures when these things were being handed over to them. So it is this thing for each of the communities to hold the leader of the community responsible to account for the project which they have used these 10 million naira to execute. As the governor himself released this money to ensure that there are projects that cut across all the autonomous communities in the state. It does not have anything to do with the governor. The governor has done everything he's supposed to do within his reach to ensure that this money is distributed across all the autonomous communities through their traditional heads.
The Federal Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs and Disaster Management says it has begun enumeration of over 100,000 pupils in Yobe under the National Homegrown School Feeding Program. Maidugu Hassan, the team lead of the program, made the disclosure on Monday while supervising the exercise at Bundigari and Dikumari primary schools in Damaturu local government area of the state. Hassan said that 54 enumerators were engaged to facilitate smooth conduct of the exercise aimed at developing a database preparatory to expanding the program as directed by the federal government. In his remarks, Ali Audu, Director, National Orientation Agency in the state, said the agency had conducted sensitization activities to create awareness on the part of parents and guardians of the importance of the program. The Federal Ministry of Communications and Digital Economy says it plans to deploy the 5-generation network in Nigeria for increased connectivity. The Minister of Communication and Digital Economy, Dr. Isa Pantami, disclosed this in Abuja when he featured on Forum, an interview program with the news agency of Nigeria.
The minister said the decision to deploy the 5G network followed an outcome of thorough investigations, research, and trial, absolving it of posing security or health threat. According to him, the work on the national policy on 5G stands at 95% done and will be presented to the Federal Executive Council in due course.
Now we are working on the national policy on 5G. We are at least 95% done with it. From that spectrum, NCC will give it to mobile network operators to start deployment. So the policy is almost ready. I went to National Assembly and I defended our presentation. They have accepted and they have also endorsed the deployment of 5G, and they encourage us also to learn from other countries that have deployed. We have already done that.
He revealed that the federal government is entering into partnership with the private sector to locally produce SIM cards, phones, tablets, and other ICT facilities. Pantami said that the local production was consequent upon the President's approval of the national policy on the promotion of indigenous content in the Nigerian telecommunications sector.
After launching the policy to date, firstly, today's SIM card is being manufactured in Nigeria. Before the coming of this administration, there was a time that even SIM card was imported into the country. But today, Nigeria has the capacity not only to produce SIM card for its consumption, but we have the capacity to produce SIM card for the entire African continent. Two, as it is today, Nigeria, we partly manufacture smartphones. So the whole policy is to make sure that we manufacture what we patronize, and we patronize what we manufacture. This is the technical interpretation of Mr. President's statement that we produce what we eat and we eat what we produce.
According to the minister, there had been an upsurge in the contributions of ICT and digital services sector to Nigeria's gross domestic product.
Now, debate has been raging since the reported surrender of many Boko Haram fighters in Borno State. Military authorities said the surrendered insurgents will be treated as prisoners of war. But many Nigerians feel that those who take up arms against the state should rather face prosecution. Dr. Yehuza Getso, a security and intelligence investigation expert, speaks to Trust TV via telephone call on the dilemma.
The implications are many. but we can narrow it into kind of looking at it in some perspective. One, social perspective. Two, economic perspective. Three, psychological perspective. And then four, the regional perspective. So what I mean by social perspective here is, these are the type of people that are used to a kind of social life that had to do with killing, slaughtering, raping, shooting, and use of arms in attaining something that they don't even understand what really the concept is all about. Because what they said as they proclaim is that they are fighting the cause of jihad, that is Islamic revolution or Islamic jihad. So they didn't even understand, most of them, if you look at them, you listen to them, it is only they're being overshadowed by their leadership. So the leadership probably knows something about Islam and something about jihad and something about Quran and probably some of the instructional materials from other Islamic books and Islamic thought. So they build a kind of antagonism and a kind of terroristic thought and mind that have a very stumbling block. So they had been away from the normal people. They were living an abnormal life for a certain period of time that you can say probably some are 13 years old in that life, some are 10 years old, some are 12 years old, some are even older than that, some are 10 years old. So they have been neutralized, their psychology has been neutralized into something else, which is not really the Islam. Because you cannot be a Muslim and go to a mosque and kill people and say Allahu Akbar. You cannot be a Muslim and go to church and kill people and say Allahu Akbar. Islamic doctrine did not in any way allow the killing of either Muslims or non-Muslims.
Well, that's it on News Update. Don't forget to follow us across all our social media platforms. I'm Zainab Bala. Thanks for your time and company.